Welcome to Lesson 3. Everyone is wealthy on payday. I want you to think about your last paycheck. For a brief moment, you were wealthy. Money entered your account. Maybe it was around 1,000, 2,000, more or less. Now I want you to ask yourself, where is that money today? Is most of it gone? All of it gone? Did you actually take on debt? And this may not be due to the fact that you're bad with money. It could be because you were never taught what the bank account is and actually what it's designed to do. We were never taught about the flow of money. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that finances are filled with tools. Just like a mechanic has different tools for different jobs, money has different tools for different jobs. Just like you wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a bolt, you wouldn't use a screwdriver to cut wood. The problem is that most people only use one financial tool for everything, their daily bank account. But what is the daily bank account for? Most people think of their bank account as where wealth lives, but it isn't. Your daily banking account is primarily just a funnel. Money comes in and it's made for money to go out. Your rent, your mortgage, insurance, cell phone bills, groceries, gas, subscriptions, Uber Eats, etc. The job of your daily account is to largely move money. It's not designed to build wealth. The difference between most people and the financial savvy is that most people get paid, then they pay everyone else. The financially savvy get paid. The difference is they pay themselves first. The difference sounds small, but the results become enormous over time. Instead of all their money flowing outward, a portion gets redirected towards ownership. They secure assets, future options, and freedom over time. We've all heard the saying, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. But why is that? Most people hear that and they think it's unfair. But part of what is actually happening is ownership. When you own productive assets, those assets work for you. If you own part of a business and that business grows, you benefit. If you own investments and they increase in value, you benefit. The wealthy own assets that make them profit 24/7. This is the classic example of working smarter and not working harder. The average person often only buys products, many of them taking on debt, making the goal of freedom even longer. But that can all change with education and action. I believe everyone can build a system towards financial freedom. I believe in all of you, and that's why I'm dedicating my time and resources into building my class. So, how do we do it? We need to shift from the mindset of being a consumer to being an owner. Imagine you buy an iPhone, you spend money, the transaction is finished. Now imagine you own investments that include companies like Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, and hundreds of other businesses. You still buy products, but now you are also a partial owner. A tiny portion of the profits generated from those companies flow back to you and they grow in earnings and investment returns. The goal is to not stop living. The goal is to become both a consumer and an owner. The goal is to do things consciously. The Canadian reality. This matters because many Canadians are struggling financially. Statistics Canada reports that the Canadian household debt remains extremely high. the highest in all G7 nations, and it has been for several years, with households owning roughly $1.75, so $1.75 of debt for every dollar that they earn. This means that many families are already spending a large portion of their future income towards past spending. The challenge is not simply earning more. The challenge is creating a system that allows part of your money to stay working for you. So time really matters. The most important tool available to people, it's not intelligence, it's time and putting knowledge into action. Historically, the S&P 500 has produced long-term average growth rate of 10% a year through many decades. Although some yearly results vary significantly, this is the average. The lesson isn't that the market always goes up. The lesson is that ownership combined with time can be incredibly powerful. So let's just put that into perspective. Many people think investing is only for wealthy people. But the reality is that time is often more important than the amount you start with. And the wealthy aren't just born wealthy, it all has to happen someplace. So, for an example, imagine investing just $20 every 2 weeks. So, every payday, you put $20 in. That's less than many people spend on a couple of coffees or one takeout meal or Uber Eats. So, using the historical average of 10% per year, after 30 years, that $20 every 2 weeks becomes $99,000. After 40 years, that same $20 contribution becomes $277,000. Just think about that. Most people put it in debt and they're in the hole. Small contributions can lead to large chunks of money. Not because they were rich, but not because they picked the perfect stock, but because they simply started. They were consistent in paying themselves and they were diversified. So now let's look at the other extreme that I hope everyone can achieve. Suppose you max out your tax-free savings account every year. And I'll be talking about this more later. This is to give you an idea of how the numbers work. So this is approximately $231 every 2 weeks. So using the same returns as we did in the other example, the historical average, after 30 years, that $231 every 2 weeks will become $1.14 million. Jump ahead, if it's 40 years, it actually grows to $3.19 million. The lesson isn't that everyone will become a millionaire. The lesson is that small actions repeated consistently over long periods of time can create life-changing results. Most people dramatically overestimate what they can accomplish in a month. Yet at the same time, they drastically underestimate what they can accomplish over 30 to 40 years with consistency. The goal isn't to start big. The goal is simply to start, because every investor who has ever built wealth started with their first contribution, and many of them, it was small amounts. The big idea here is that most people spend their entire lives moving money. The financial successful eventually learn how to own things, business, assets, investments. The goal of this course is not to make you rich overnight. The goal is to teach you how to redirect a portion of your money from being a consumer into ownership and participating. So, an action step for you before the next video, some questions for you. Take a look at your recent paycheck. And then I want you to calculate how much came in, so what your inflow was, and then how much remains. So what was your outflow? Did you actually spend more than you made? Do you have higher credit cards? Did you take on debt? How much did you pay to your future self? And then I want you to answer this fourth question. How much can you pay to your future self that won't make a big ripple on your system? So this will be different for many people. Many people may say every payday, maybe only $10, $20 I can get by. Some people may be spending a lot on things they really don't need, and they can start off with 50, 100, a couple hundred. Don't judge yourself, just observe. The goal is to set a number that won't disrupt the system in a dramatic way. And then in the next video, we're going to uncover exactly where most of the money disappears and identify what I call the wealth leak. And please remember, you may not be able to change your whole life today, but you can take one step. And one step repeated long enough can change your future, your family, and the cycle that you came from. Start small, stay consistent, and pay yourself first.